What's up, bullish friends? Hope you guys are doing well out there today. And by request, I've had several people request this. You guys wanted me to look at Fathom Finance, give you my thought, my opinion. So today, that's what I'm going to do. And this is one I actually started looking at a couple weeks ago when they were doing their pre-launch and all that. But of course, I got sick during that time and all hell broke loose there. So I was unable to get to this, so I finally wanted to get to this today and explain some of the warning signs I see with this. And, look, my goal here is to help prevent you guys from losing money as much as it is to help you make money. So I put those two things hand in hand with what I do. So in this, I do see some warning signs that I want to go over. And, all of this is just my opinion, so I could be wrong. But usually when I look at these things, I'm usually pretty right on my track record with finding things that are flawed with a system. So let's go over this today. And you guys can let me know in the comments below as I go what you think and give me your opinion as well. So let's dive in. So the first thing, I went through the white paper probably 5 or 6 times. And they have a light paper as well. But the white paper, I had to read through quite a bit because it's kind of complex. If you go through it, and let me pull this up for you real quick. When you do go through this, and it takes just a minute to load, there's like 20 some pages of this. Now, some of the pages are just definition pages that just explain some of the wording and phrasing that's in this. So you're not really reading through 20 plus pages. But there's about 18 pages of content to read through in here. And some of it is just, there's a lot of jargon and things to understand. So you do have to jump back and forth between the table of contents, all these, like down here, and starting on like, let's see, 22. It's just definitions going all the way to page 31, which is cool. It's helpful they put that in here. So I do like that. But going through this, I found it to be just a complex system, maybe overly complex for what they're trying to do. But a lot of the explanations are hard to understand, and there's a lot of things that bounce in and out. So what I had to end up doing is, as I went through this, I also ended up going through Pelton's AMA with them and with the founders of this project. And I'm going to play maybe a couple clips from this. I don't know how this audio is going to come through while I'm recording. I don't know if I can hear all this, but I did go through the entire thing a couple times to make sure I was understanding the platform and what they're going to do. And what I ultimately found while I went through all this and went back and reread the white paper is not a very good explanation of their revenue streams as far as how they're going to bring in enough revenue to not turn this into just another Ponzi. Okay, because obviously we've talked about before, if a project is just sustained by new members coming in, it makes it it's going to make it difficult for the price of their token, because they have this token they're making. It's going to make it hard for the price of the token to stay up high enough to be able to pay out great rewards. And right now, one thing with the system that I did learn as I went through all this is that they don't have a set payout that they're giving you daily. Like, for instance, they're not saying, hey, we're going to give you 1% a day, which that in itself is good, that they don't have a set percentage, that it can fluctuate because, well, as revenue is up or down, it should fluctuate how much you're getting back from the system. Because if you just maintained it and always said, hey, you're going to get X% every single day, it's going to be unsustainable, because obviously if the revenue fluctuates, you can't sustain it. But the problem is that if they don't have enough revenue coming in, then the revenue could go way down and you could get almost nothing on a daily basis. Okay, so that's just some of the early stuff I want to caution you about. But let me play this clip. James asked them if they were, why they thought this was sustainable, and here's the answer that he gives for that. So just see what you think of this.
Well, for one thing, we're giving out a percentage of the pool so we can never run out of those tokens, which is great. But we're actually we're taking up the taxes up front. Most, from what I've seen, most projects usually would do like a low buy tax, but then a higher sell tax. But they're collecting taxes to support the project. So I started wondering, like, why are they waiting till people sell out before actually supporting their investment? So we've got a 15% buy tax and then a 25% staking tax. So with that, just with the buy, so anybody who is trading with us, we're going to pull the majority of those taxes up. So, and that will be 75% of that goes to generating revenue. It's going to go right to our jet stream. The other 25% is going to be, used for marketing and such as well. And so we're taking the money up front, which is something that I haven't.
Hey, and just so you guys know, I just wanted to chime in here real quick. I can't hear this at the same time, but I've listened to this like 10 times prior to this clip here. So when it gets to the end of this, I'm going to chime back in. So there's only another, minute or so left. So just keep listening here and I'll chime back in.
Seen others actually try to do, because we want this to last forever if we could. And so the whole goal is, as long as we have any kind of revenue coming in, that revenue is going to be used to actually buy back Fathom and refill the rewards pool. So as long as any kind of revenue is coming in, we will be able to stay alive because we'll be constantly doing buy pressure on our own chart. And that's where the whole sustain comes in. Being a tradable token with, one utility to start, because it's already completed. Most of the time what I've seen is these projects launch, they have a promise to, we're going to build this, we're going to have this, their roadmap is set out for like a full, like a half a year or so. And they usually miss those targets. And by the time they're actually completing everything and ready to start selling what they've built to earn revenue, it's kind of too late. They've lost all that hype. Nobody's paying attention anymore. So we're just starting off from the very beginning to build out a revenue stream that's not based on something we have to actually sell in order to generate that revenue. And once we get to the point where we have a large revenue stream coming in, and then the rewards going out, at some point, those two will equal. And that's going to kind of be our very hard floor. And honestly, once this whole system itself proves itself to be successful, we'll be able to create anything. And that's kind of the goal here.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, and we got some great.
Okay, so in that, listening into that, and again, I took notes from earlier. He talks about the sustainability, about how they're taking by the taxes that come into the system out first thing. So as money comes into the system, they take taxes, they put those taxes to work into the revenue streams, like there's a jet stream, and there's some other places that they're going to take the taxes, and they're going to fund where they're going to bring in the revenue streams at. Now, again, that's not inherently bad, but again, the revenue streams just need to be high enough to offset if you don't have new members coming in all the time, okay? And that's where I think this project is absolutely weak at. And I'm going to play, let me see, there's one other clip I want to play. There are several clips I wanted to play on this. I just don't want to go through every single thing. I will link to this if you want to go listen to all this. I'll also link to the white paper. But let's go into, I want to go into the part where he talks about revenue sources here. There's revenue streams. So I'm just going to play this clip. It's another 2-minute clip. Listen to this and then just see what you think. Gather your thoughts, and then I want to show you some other stuff with this program. But listen to this for yourself. Form your own opinion, okay? See if we can.
Can you talk about the revenue streams? What are you guys planning to do? What kind of return do you expect to make? Do you expect the revenue that you're making to be able to keep up with, the percentage that you're paying out, or do you think that will happen in the future? Can you just kind of talk us through the revenue a little bit?
Yeah. So we're not even looking at like taxes as part of our revenue stream. That's the taxes are going to build the revenue stream. Up until the last 2 days, we weren't even sure of what we were going to have to work with regarding capital, because the plan has always been to take 50%, around 50% of what we raise in this pre-sale to actually start the jet stream. Because again, that's been our main focus, is to focus on that, because that is the long-term sustainability of our system. But there are several different chains we're already looking on. Actually, we were just discussing getting one set up on Fusion. I guess, what was that, last night or something, Bishop? But
yep.
So yeah, but the thing is about us is everything that we do, we don't just jump into it. It comes with a stupid amount of research, essentially, because we know it's important to try to make the best decisions that we can, because if we screw up, then it's going to mess everybody else up. So it's all about researching and checking the market and basically, diving as deep as we can into all these systems just to make sure that we're making the best decision that we possibly can for everybody else. And we're not going to just go about everything on our own. We will be taking suggestions, because there's a lot of stuff out there that we probably don't even know about. We were looking at other protocols, but unfortunately, they're just not surviving, and so it's come to the point where we were kind of expecting to have a decent amount up and running right away, but these protocols are just not panning out. Some of them are just not truthful at all. They're not even real, and unfortunately, so we have to be very careful, and we know that.
Okay. Nope. That makes total sense.
Okay. So again, going through that, it just felt very weak. Like the revenue streams felt very weak. So from that, we ended up gathering that they're going to have validator nodes. But I had to go through this entire AMA and also through the white paper, like I said, several times, and through like Twitter and some other sources just to find where they were going to come up with these extra revenue streams. And so they mentioned validator nodes. And validator nodes, they don't pay out a fortune, okay? You can basically buy the tokens of other networks, and I believe they specifically mention Fathom. And you earn back Fathom tokens as you have your node with them. Okay, but they're not huge revenue streams. Like to pay out an audience, it would be hard just from that one revenue stream. Well, the other things that I've been able to gather that they have on revenue streams are things like bots. So they're using Shiny Jackal. I was able to find that on Twitter, that they're using Shiny Jackal trading bots to bring in an income. They're also staking on PancakeSwap and CommandSwap. But going into like PancakeSwap, see if this pulls up for me here. You can see their pools as this loads up. I mean, the problem is trying to get enough revenue from this. And even though you can take this revenue and you can compound it into other things, to be able to pay out an audience of people who have connected their wallets to this, it has to be extremely high, unless you're going to end up getting something like 0.01% back per day of what you put in or something like that, which would not really be worth it as a revenue stream when you can come and just stake on your own into other places and make more than that. So again, this is just what I'm seeing as far as revenue. I don't believe that bots like the Shiny Jackal bots, why they might be fine individually on their own or in a system like this, I don't see how they're going to help sustain this platform. And I don't believe there's enough money that can be brought in from staking on these other platforms and farming on these other platforms to sustain this ecosystem. Now, that being said, a couple other things I want to show you guys here. And I do highly recommend go through the AMA. I will link to this if you really want to listen to this. But go through and at least listen to, there's a few parts I would highly recommend listening to. The first one is at like 9 minutes here. It's the again, we already went through this, but it's the sustainability of the project. Then at 21, so the jet stream, this explains the jet stream. This is what one of the DeFi Knights here mentioned was their like big revenue source. Okay, it's where they fund. That's where they say they're going to fund most of this activity from, or it's their focal point basically of the project. And then at 25, there is another clip here. So like, yeah, the revenue streams, which we just went through. And then let's see, 38. I think a person in the audience asked a good question here on, yeah, so at 3853, do you need new people to come in to the ecosystem to sustain? And he basically comes out and says, no, we won't need new people to sustain this, but I would still argue that that's going to be very hard to do without new people coming in and just sustaining with the current revenue sources that they're speaking about. Because the token has already, like the Fathom token has already started high as people were coming in, and it's already down real low in just a couple weeks here. It went from like, what is that, 63, or I'm sorry, 0.06 down to 0.018 or 15 now, 18. Okay, so it's fluctuated quite a bit already. And that's the one thing that you got to worry about when you're getting paid out in a token. And it's the same problem that things like Drip have. Drip hasn't made enough utility with their token yet, so the price just keeps going down. Got to get that utility for the price to be able to sustain and go back up. So if they just keep printing new tokens, well, you keep getting tokens and you keep getting paid out in the tokens, but the price continues to go down. The tokens are worth less. Okay, and the other thing, here's another thing that really concerns me. Now, when I go and I look at some of the marketing these guys are doing, they hired, I don't know much about this company they're using, but you'll see all throughout their Twitter, they've got all these, I don't know if they're bots or what they are, but they have all these people on here that have like these purplish and like basically just solid color backgrounds. And I think it's through this RBX Samurai network. Again, I don't know. I haven't done a ton of research on that, but I just want to show you some of the stuff that's coming out here with them. So as you go through and you look at this stuff as they post on Twitter, their engagement just simply isn't very good with a lot of this stuff. So let's start here. Let's see if this is one, because I'll show you some examples of what I'm talking about. So like here, you'll see like these little backgrounds here. So they'll say things like crypto lover, RBX, Twitter shiller. Okay, same thing. And if you go down to another one, it's basically the same thing. Crypto lover, RBX, XS, Twitter shiller. Okay. And then we market your Blockcoin projects. And then as you scroll down through this, you can see a bunch of these. And even the comments that start coming on here are all very, very similar. Like if you go through them and you look at it, a lot of people are just not really saying anything that's useful. I mean, they all essentially say the same type of thing. So I don't know why they're paying a marketing firm to market this that way. I've seen other projects do this that have been scam projects that just rip people off. And now, with that said, I'm not saying these guys are a scam. I'm not saying they're going to rip you off. I'm just saying I've seen other projects use this service, and I don't fully understand why it's being done. It's not effective, in my opinion, number one. And number two, it looks scammy. It looks fishy. And so as you go through, again, all these posts are the same. Like, gives the Telegram, Twitter, how to buy. Okay. And Fathom Finance has built a revolutionary value-based staking system that pays you 1% daily of the value you staked. I don't know they ever claimed that it's going to be 1%. I'll show you in a second that they're not paying 1% every single day. But again, same thing. This person, Fathom Finance, has built a revolutionary value-based staking system that pays you 1% daily of the value you staked. And if you go down, and here's like, oh no. So yeah, where was it? Right here. So like as of February 2nd, they're saying, we're the daily ROI, they moved it up from 0.7 daily to 0.987%. So almost 1%. They're going to they're going to push it over 1% daily. Again, in my opinion, that's only if this is, of course, sustainable. So, but going through, let's see, if we click on one of these people here, show replies, pull up. So, again, very similar. Well, that's from DeFi Night. Okay, so that's not helpful. That's one of the co-founders of the project. But like, let's see up here on some of these that actually had some engagement. Yeah, so like, fantastic project with big potential. The team's dedication and ingenuity with excellent fan support will make this the envy of the crypto world. Glad to be part of this. And then if we look at the profile, that person just, following 92 followers, just kind of looks run of the mill. And then we get this person, same kind of thing, 92 followers, 57 following, strong project. Hopefully this project will shine in the future. Good luck for this project. And it's just, the comments are all this kind of stuff. Like, you can literally go through all this. I will link to this and you guys can go take a look at all this stuff for yourself. That to me just is a huge red flag, huge turnoff from the project. Makes me a little nervous as to what they're hoping to achieve with this. And even if the revenue sources, I got into this and I thought the revenue sources were decent, which again, I don't see how this sustains. This kind of stuff is a huge red flag for me. It turns me off completely from the project and would be enough on its own to make me just walk away.